Okay, I'm doing a test run after learning a little bit more about pivot turning. I'm right now I have the pivot turn angle at 90 degrees, and I don't think any of these angles are 90 degrees, so it mostly is not trying to do any pivot turning. And I have my parameters pretty much in there the way they are when I've had pretty decent driving. So what I'm showing here is that it doesn't do the oscillation as long as it's going to a pivot turn situation. So that's good to know. It's not just a matter of just because I've enabled pivot turning or anything. So now I'm going to reduce pivot turn angle to where it will try to do a pivot turn at some point during this rectangle. Now I have pivot turns turned on with a 75-degree turn angle, and so you see at waypoint 2 what happened. It did do a pivot turn that overshot the turn. My very sluggish
Heading to waypoint 3.
Very sluggish steering controls caused it to overshoot. So if I can slow down the turning a good bit, I may solve that. Now at waypoint 3, the pivot turn looked pretty good. It overshot some. We're not updating right now very well. My antenna on my rover is not in the best position. Okay, so you notice that's a little better. That's looking promising. Well, here I decided to redraw my test path to make it smaller because I'm not really that concerned about how long the straightaways are. I want to see what happens at pivot turns. The rover was way out here headed to the waypoint when I made the change, and so it did this really quick pivot turn back. That's really cool. I like this pivot turn thing. It's overshooting some, as you see, turning there. But what I've done at the moment, I changed the parameters. I've got the pivot turn rate at 1, which is extremely slow, to see what that does. And so we're running the test, although I kind of, goofed up the test by making that change in midstream. We'll see what happens at the next turn. Might as well let it stay here live and see what happens. Approaching. Okay, we hit that waypoint. Let's see how well it's going to turn. It looks good out there in the field. Well, yeah, it may not have had done a pivot turn then because of the 75-degree angle. It was already somewhat angled coming in. It wasn't on the yellow line, and so the turn might have been less than a pivot turn. Okay, you can see it's still overshot quite a bit. So it's watching it turn, it seems to be turning at about the same speed, even after I slowed down that pivot turn rate. I'm guessing the PID parameters are such that it just, even at its minimum movement of the controls, it's got it turning kind of fast. So I'm going to play with PID parameters a little bit. This was just seeing how it behaved going clockwise, and it's similar overshoot, I guess you'd say, on the turn. Just wanted to be sure there wasn't a difference because my compass is not working very well as far as if you notice the direction I'm aimed now. It looks to be southwest. The mower's almost due south, so we're off there. So that's why I want to try the other direction in case I could tell a difference. I'm not sure if I am seeing a difference or not. It's still kind of just going past the point where it should stop turning in the pivot turn mode. Just before I started this mission, I changed the waypoint speed to 0.1, and it did do a very slow turn. Now it's trying to make it to the next waypoint, but it seems to have not ramped up the speed to the cruising speed. So I know PID parameters affect that, but it's been all halfway trip, been quite a bit of time, and it's really slow if it's going at all to get above it's almost like it's still stuck in waypoint speed mode rather than the cruise speed mode. I'm not sure I assume it made that waypoint. I got away from that waypoint Although that was actually, this was when I switched to auto. That's the ending waypoint from the previous run. It has yet to make it to a waypoint on this run. So I don't know if I'll let it go this slow until it gets to that next waypoint and see what happens. But it should go slow at the waypoint, the way I understand it, and then speed up, after the turn.
Heading to waypoint 2.
It's making the turn. Instantly, it kind of turned fairly fast, much faster than that slow crawl was going on. Now it's back. Not sure if it's speeding up. So just the feet per second here. It's almost like it's slowing back down, trying to go at 0.1. Yeah, 1 point, barely crawling out there, even though it should be in the cruise speed between here. So that's something I don't understand.